Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong.
You know what, I'll give it a try. Guys, it's 3 a.m. chat. We're gonna just chilling, chat. You know what? For once, I'll give it a try.
This episode covers disorderly conduct, personal privacy, and remaining silent, and is brought to us by IDC Chris's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Let's dive right in and audit the audit. On July 4th, 2019, YouTuber and First Amendment auditor Christopher Biederstedt was conducting a First Amendment audit on a public sidewalk outside of the Mendota Lutheran home in Mendota, Illinois, when he was contacted by Officer Holland of the Mendota Police Department. The MPD had received
Guys, what is a First Amendment audit? What the fuck even is that?
A complaint from the residents of the Lutheran home that Mr. Biederstedt was trying to film the inside of the building from the outside.
Yes, what is the First Amendment? What does it mean? Chat, when I hear the word audit, all I can think of is pushing the limits and being an asshole, just for the sake of being an asshole, to film it and try to make everybody look bad. I want to be a bootlegger, but that's usually what I hear when I hear audit.
Why are you recording the nursing home? You're upsetting the people who live here. Chris, stop walking. Stop. What is going on? Why are you recording the... Chris, stop.
At this point, Mr. Biederstedt is officially detained and must obey the commands of the officer. In the infamous Terry versus Ohio case, the Supreme Court recognized that when an officer, by means of physical force or show of authority, has in some way restrained the liberty of a citizen, then a seizure has occurred. The moment that Officer Holland ordered Mr. Biederstedt to stop, he was officially detained and subject to the lawful orders of the officer. Whether or not the officer's orders are lawful is to be interpreted by a court. And in our current justice system, even if the officer's orders are unlawful, they must be obeyed when they are issued and challenged later in court. I have covered the topic of detainment in many of my other videos, and I will not spend much time on it in this episode, but I highly recommend taking a look at past episodes to get a better understanding of how a detainment works and how it relates to the Fourth
This
Amendment.
seems fair enough.
Why are you recording the nursing home? I'm speaking to you. I'm getting complaints about your actions. What is going on? Chris,
please let me go.
No, I need to find out what's going on. You're upsetting the people.
Guys, because if some people file, say complaints, and people say something is going on, right? They don't know what the complaints were, dude, okay? If you want to ask him questions, I think this is still kind of fair enough, though, okay? To go ask the guy questions, it's not a full arrest letter, dude. How hard is it dude, to be cordial and say, hey, man, I'm doing this. Okay, cool. Can you maybe not do this? Oh, okay, am I allowed to do this? Sure. Okay, goodbye. On your guys, it takes like 5 seconds. How hard is it to be cordial?
People who work here. So stop.
I'm gonna go.
I'm ordering you to stop. So stop.
I don't. You work for me. I don't work for you.
Well, I work for the public who called me here because of the actions.
Did I do anything illegal?
You're upsetting the people who live here.
Did I do anything illegal?
27 from 156. Can you assist? You need to stop. Okay.
I'm gonna.
What is going on and why?
Is this illegal?
I want to know what's going on because you're upsetting these people. I want to know what you're doing.
Did I do anything illegal? I don't answer questions. Definitely not to you.
Disorderly conduct, Chris.
Disorderly conduct
You're
how?
alarming and disturbing the people who
Am
work
I
here.
allowed to photograph on the sidewalk or no?
Section 26-1 of the Illinois Criminal Code states that a person commits disorderly conduct when he or she knowingly does any act in such unreasonable manner as to alarm or disturb another, and to provoke a breach of the peace. This is a prime example of a code whose language is so vague.
Guys, this is like the greatest area that I've ever seen. This is like almost an area that almost has no white or black. It's like such a wide gray area.
Any action could be perceived as a
anything
violation.
can disturb somebody depending on who the fuck it is and what
Core
disturbs
tenets
them.
of the code are entirely subjective and inherently flawed. Codes like this one exist in almost every state, and they are typically just as vague. These codes essentially authorize officers to take anyone to jail for any reason, and are often used by officers to arrest civilians who have broken no other laws. We will discuss whether or not Mr. Biederstedt was committing a crime later in this episode.
I'm trying to figure out what you're doing.
Okay.
Chris?
Look,
I'm going to put you in handcuffs if you don't stop.
You could put me in handcuffs.
Okay, then stop.
No, you could put me in handcuffs. This isn't legal.
Stop.
This is not legal.
What are you doing?
This is not legal.
Chris?
This is not legal. I'm trying.
Okay,
I'm going about my day.
I'm detaining you until I can find out what you're doing and why you're doing this.
This is
Put the
illegal.
phone down.
That's a Terry stop.
I'm detaining you.
That's a Terry stop.
Put the phone down.
That's a Terry stop.
A Terry stop is a stop of a person by law enforcement officers based upon reasonable suspicion that a person may have been engaged in criminal activity. Mr. Biederstedt is correct that Officer Holland is conducting a Terry stop based on the reasonable suspicion provided by the 911 call that the department received.
Yeah, this is why this is so hard, chat, but because sometimes the Karens and the weirdos are gonna 911 some bullshit and say, yo, dude, I think this guy, he might have a gun. Dude, I think this guy... And dude, if you're an officer, what can you do though? You're fed information that's wrongful and dog shit because of fucking idiot Karens. What can you do though? Like...
The Supreme Court has ruled that 911 calls can serve as reasonable
to a certain degree,
and I've
that's
covered
how it
that
is,
subject
man.
in different episodes, which I will link to in the info card above. It is impossible to know what the 911 caller reported to the Mendota police, but the officers mentioned that the caller was concerned about Mr. Biederstedt's mental stability because of his bizarre actions. It is likely that a court would find that the officers were within their authority to stop Mr. Biederstedt based on the information provided by the 911 caller. As Officer Holland places Mr. Biederstedt into handcuffs, Sergeant Stewart arrives on the scene.
Sergeant Stewart, I detained him because he walked away from me. He was telling me what's going on and he was recording people inside of the boozer hall.
Why are you recording him inside?
And he will not give me that answer. He keeps
I
walking away
I'm
from me.
definitely not answering questions to you guys, but
Okay, I'll hold him. Go see if they'll sign a complaint for disorderly conduct.
This-
Why are you being that way, dude?
like what? Hey, can I not
You can.
photograph on the sidewalk?
They
Am I
were
allowed to?
they were concerned that you were photographing residents inside.
No, there wasn't.
You weren't. You
No.
just photographing
Look, all these blinds are closed, yeah?
along here. I don't know.
Oh,
if they
come
are or
on,
not.
man.
All right.
Why wouldn't you stop when she asked you to?
Do I have to?
Yes.
Was I being detained?
Yes.
What crime was I suspected of committing?
It is a common misconception that officers require suspicion of a specific crime in order to detain an individual. The legal doctrine set forth by the Terry case dictates that officers only need a
You guys think it's like a, oh, got him, dude. But dude, that's not how it is,
suspicion
though.
that criminal activity is afoot. If an officer can point to specific facts which made them believe that some crime may have been committed, then the officer may detain an individual in order to investigate further. Although photographing on a public sidewalk is not a crime in and of itself, there are limitations to the protections offered by the First Amendment. Citizens are entitled to a reasonable expectation of privacy in certain places. And in the 1967 Supreme Court case of Katz versus United States, Justice John Marshall Harlan established a two-pronged test for determining whether an individual's expectation of privacy is reasonable.
Interesting that the same people that say that they do all this for privacy are okay with somebody fucking filming them inside their fucking homes on the basis that, oh, the blinds are closed. Like,
Katz
that's
test
just so
considers whether an
hypocritical.
individual has exhibited an actual subjective
what a
expectation of
weird
privacy
fucking
and whether the
privacy-
expectation is one that society is prepared to recognize as reasonable. That being said, the First Amendment does protect the act of public photography, and the public domain extends to whatever can be seen from a public location. While citizens may assume that they have a reasonable expectation of privacy inside their homes, courts have ruled many times that photographing the inside of a home through an open window is a constitutionally protected activity.
You really want to go that route?
Then.
What crime
We're
was I suspected?
investigating somebody acting in a disorderly manner.
How?
You're video recording a nursing home and
But
you were upsetting the
photography
residents.
on the sidewalk.
We didn't know that. Don't
I
we
didn't
have
know- I
to
didn't know
talk
this.
about it?
Photography on the sidewalk.
Okay.
Do I have to answer questions to that? No, I don't.
Guys, this is because I'm sure, guys, other laws that come into play and other law. This is a flat law, right? It's across the board, and other laws come into play if it's like stalking or like being weird or like the other things come into play by how they do it. But the base of it still makes sense.
Wow.
Do I?
Where'd you get your law degree, man?
Do I? Do it. I was videotaping from the sidewalk. This is a universe. This is a whole. This is a right.
I have no idea, man. You won't cooperate with us and tell us what's going on. You're being asked to cooperate, and the
That's right.
police officer's giving you a direct order, and you won't stop.
Because I don't have to. 'cause I
Yes,
didn't
you
do
did.
anything illegal. No.
So that's in your opinion, not ours.
No, it's not. An
Okay.
opinion. I did not do anything illegal.
Okay.
In general.
Okay.
The Fifth Amendment's, quote, right to remain silent can be a powerful tool for anyone interacting with the police. And in most cases, it is a good idea to remain silent as much as possible, but also within reason. The
Yeah, within reason, don't chat. Because if nothing happened, you're just chilling, dude. He's asking you a question like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" I plead the fifth. Dude,
Right to
okay,
silence
dude, like,
was designed to prevent
dude.
individuals from incriminating themselves, and successfully invoking that right requires a functional balance between disseminating necessary information to police officers and not answering potentially incriminating questions asked by police officers. Although you are well within your rights to remain completely silent during most police interactions, outside of identifying yourself, it may not always be in your best interest to do so. Silence often says more than words, and it is extremely important to bear in mind how your actions will be viewed inside of a courtroom after an interaction has taken place. Failing to announce your intention to exercise your rights leaves a court open to interpreting what your intentions may have been. This was the case for Iowa-based auditor Daniel Robbins, who was arrested for photographing a police station from a public sidewalk and lost the subsequent lawsuit because he failed to articulate that he was exercising his rights, leaving the court to draw its own conclusions about his intentions.
Oh
I
my
will link
God,
my
this
coverage
guy.
of Mr. Robbins' interaction in the info card above. If Mr. Biederstedt had simply announced that he was exercising his First Amendment right to record in public, it could have de-escalated the encounter and served him well later in the courtroom.
Only reason I came here and photographed was because I knew it was within my rights.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, if that's all you were doing, but if you're videotaping and taking pictures of people inside there, that's a different story. Or if you're going on their property acting in a disorderly manner, that's your problem to deal with.
That's it? That's all you have to do?
Officer
That's all you have
Holland
to say?
eventually returns with what appears to be a staff member of the facility and informs Mr. Biederstedt that he is under arrest for disorderly conduct. Sergeant Stewart escorts Mr. Biederstedt to the patrol car, and then something amazing happens.
So he's walking by videotaping the building?
Videotaping the building. He's like zooming in on the
What-
windows,
what-
zooming
that's-
in on the doors.
Well, they don't know if they're zooming or
I
not.
know,
It's
and
not illegal to do
so
that.
I explained to them what's going on, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, okay, I don't know what he's doing."
Okay,
It
but
looks
time
like
out.
it's a state."
That's not illegal
I
to
don't
do
know if
that.
she's zooming or not.
So he's not acting in a disorderly manner if he's on the sidewalk walking by videotaping the outside of the building.
Okay, but-
That's the problem we have.
Yeah, and they were disturbed by his actions once they found out what was going on.
But how are they? They're disturbed that he's walking on the sidewalk
They
videotaping?
were concerned because they don't know his mental state. They don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, but that's on them.
Well,
though.
he wasn't. I mean, other than not obeying you, which is a no-no, which I mean, that is what it is. But as far as walking by with a video camera, I mean, I'm not. That's not something that.
Now she's just eating their garbage up now, dude. Jesus.
Even though they're,
bothered by the actions that he was doing.
you could be bothered by a lot of things, Sam.
After Sergeant Stewart intervenes, Officer Holland uncuffs Mr. Biederstedt, and after a calm conversation with the sergeant, he is released, and the officers leave the scene without further incident. Overall, Officer Holland gets a C-, because although she may have been within her authority to detain Mr. Biederstedt, she essentially admitted to soliciting a complaint from a
C-,
staff
that's
member of
not
the
good.
facility and fully intended on making an arrest.
And they were disturbed by his actions once they found out.
What about the other officer? What does he get?
So they were willing to sign him.
Officers soliciting
Hey.
charges is a relatively common problem that is often difficult to prove. It is not uncommon for officers to solicit a charge so that they can arrest someone and go on about their day, rather than taking the time to examine all sides of a conflict. Anyone who has interacted with police can attest to that notion. Officer Holland fell into the typical routine of restoring peace at the expense of administering justice. But luckily, she was corrected by Sergeant Stewart. Sergeant Stewart gets an A+
Yeah,
for
no,
engaging
hey,
with Mr. Biederstedt
hey,
in a challenging
pretty-
but cordial conversation,
33
and for
months,
questioning Officer
xQcl.
Holland's tactics and ordering her to release Mr. Biederstedt. It is
Stewart kinda went hard with
increasingly
this
rare
one.
to see an officer display a relatively thorough knowledge of constitutional protections, but it is even rarer to see a supervisory officer object to the charges brought by a fellow officer on those grounds. I commend Sergeant Stewart for having the proper knowledge and awareness to dispute Officer Holland's assertions and ensure that peace was restored and justice was equitably served. Well-informed officers deserve to be in supervisory positions,
All I
and
hear is
Sergeant
facts,
Stewart
facts, no problem.
demonstrated
Disagree
great
with this
policing during
auditing
this
stuff.
encounter.
The
Mr.
police need
Biederstedt
to
gets a
obey
B+,
the law just
because
like we do.
I don't disagree with this auditing
Oftentimes,
stuff.
The police have a misunderstanding they can interrogate and incriminate people for nothing. We need to hold police accountable too.
Oh yeah, dude, as much as you're correct, dude. I feel like sometimes there's the stuff going on. It's like if you're going to like just be a fucking ass. The problem with the audits that we're seeing a lot
Because while it could be argued that he was engaged in a constitutionally protected activity,
just
Mr.
being
Bieterstedt's
asshats,
decision
dude.
to record a retirement facility raises serious ethical questions. There is no progress to be made within the constitutional awareness movement by recording the Lutheran home, and alarming the residents of an elderly home only serves to make the movement look bad as a whole. Many of the home's residents are likely mentally unstable, and pointing a camera at such an establishment is obnoxious and disrespectful.
Guys,
And
sometimes, guys, if you're at a retirement home, some people maybe don't have the strength to get out of bed and to close the blinds, and they have to get a whole wazoo. It's just annoying, dude. It's just not.
While Mr.
it's just
Bieterstedt
not
failed
cool,
to
man.
properly exercise his Fifth Amendment right to silence, he did remain calm and collected throughout the encounter and ultimately was not charged with a crime. Mr. Bieterstedt would also do well to re-examine the Terry case and gain a deeper understanding of reasonable suspicion and detainment. Mr. Bieterstedt did a good job overall, and as his legal knowledge grows, so too will his auditing ability and ethical awareness. I look forward to seeing the
Interesting. I usually hate these audio videos because they're kind of stupid. Because some of these motherfuckers, they act so, they're so annoying. Oh my, dude, you know the worst Karens, dude. You know the ones I hate the most? The one that have like big ass guns, dude, and like, yeah, so, okay, so what?
Almost
So what?
another year.
This is an AR? Is it loaded? Out the wazoo? Yes, it got a 60 round mag in it. Yeah, what about it? And like, dude, motherfucker, dude, chill, man. Like, dude, they make me fucking mauled.